Hello, and welcome to our presentation of Spartan's Code by Torment Studios. Torment Studios includes Ryan Luna, Alonzo Nash, Gerald Nuo, Leo Perez, myself, Alec Lecker, and Gabriel Martinez. Now, a rough overview of our game is it will consist of 30 player levels, it is open world, and there are no enemies, but the player will have to avoid traps. The goal is to find the hidden artifact in the cities. As the player progresses, they will discover how they are connected with the past of these great nations. When a player finds an artifact, a cutscene will play, giving the player insight into who their ancestors were. The players can travel between any of the 4 cities of their own volition. The 4 cities available to the player to explore are the cities of Sparta, Athens, Troy, and Mycenae. It will be in the third-person point of view, and the player will only have to control one player. The player will use platforming-type mechanics, and they will have to gather information to discover their past. They will also have to gather resources and tools which will help them navigate the treacherous cities. The artifacts will be hidden in caverns that the player will have to find in the cities. Chests will be randomly generated in the caverns for the player to find. If the player reads the lore and the information provided, they will be able to find secret chests, otherwise they will only find the standard non-hidden chests. An example to show you our vision is, just like in Assassin's Creed, the player will play a modern character experiencing their past lives. Only here, the player spends most of their time as the modern-day character, and upon finding certain ancient treasures, it will trigger cutscenes of past memories, connecting both the player and their character to who they were. Now, some similar games to our game is Fallout, which is open world, you can buy and sell equipment, and the weapons and armor can break and have durability. Then we have Tomb Raider, where you explore dungeons for treasure, the traps hinder the player, and there's actual historical references. And finally, Life is Strange, where the challenges are based off puzzles, there's no combat in the game whatsoever, and it has flashback cutscenes. However, what makes our game unique is the dungeons are different every playthrough, the chests spawn randomly, and obtaining artifacts advances the story. Now, the 6 mechanics we chose for this game are Collect, Shuffle Randomize, Combine, Trade, Defend, and Consume. With Collect, the player will have to collect artifacts in the ruins, they'll have to collect health potions, and also tools to help them navigate. Then we have Shuffle Randomize, where the traps will spawn randomly and the layout will be different every time. Then we have Combine, where Combine will have to do with Collect, because the player can either collect the tools or the items to combine to make greater armor, and combining has to do with either creating healing items or making stronger armor. Then we have Trade, which is another way the player can get the items to use the combine mechanic, where they can buy and sell materials from merging or buying and sell the armor themselves. Then we have Defend, which will have to do with the Shuffle Randomize mechanic, because the traps will be shuffled and randomized. The player will either have to defend or dodge the traps. Finally, we have Consume, which also has to do with the Collect or Trade or Combine, because if the player takes damage from the traps, they will have to consume food to heal themselves. Our intent for this game was to create a game that tells an interesting story, which allows the players to learn about the world of ancient Greece. We wanted to pay homage to that part of history and share the passion we have about it with like-minded players, and we wanted to have the player have an enjoyable experience, but still have the player learn something from that experience. Now, we have a developer's log where we made major changes, which we removed the attack and destroying mechanic, we added the collecting and randomness mechanic, and we changed the time period to the present. Our other changes we made are between the levels, the player may upgrade their equipment, and if the player reaches the end of an area, they will find a treasure room. The resulting changes is we had to remove the nations to interact with. The landscape is going to be old and crumbling and covered in hazards. Treasures will be scattered throughout the level, and the levels will be randomly generated. Then we had to discard some changes. For example, we first had the player setting traps, but we decided that the time period would have to move away from combat. We also wanted a stealth game, but we also decided that the story would not be as interesting if we made it a stealth game. And we had to change the gameplay and make it a much slower paced game because there's no combat, and we wanted to make it more of a puzzle based game where you had to use problem solving skills. And our target platform for this game is going to be the console PC, and we want to support up to 1 to 2 players locally and also have an online co-op. Now, I want to thank you all for attending this new presentation of Spartan's Code, and thank you so much for watching.